In this week in the Italian campaign, brought to you by the Freedom for Italy Second World War History Network, the Third Battle of Cassino in March 1944. Following the failure of the second attempt to break the German defences at Cassino in February, Fifth Army Commander General Mark Clark ordered a fresh approach to breaching the Gustav Line. The New Zealand Corps was again given the task of taking Monte Cassino and crossing the Rapido into the Liri Valley. The attack was named Operation Dickens, after the English novelist who visited Cassino and Monte Cassino Abbey in January 1845. The 4th Indian Division started work on upgrading the 5-mile track from Caira to their positions on the Monte Cassino Massif. New Zealand Corps Commander General Bernard Freyberg ordered it to be widened and strengthened to take armour and heavy transport. It was named Cavendish Road after the original Royal Engineers commander of the project. It was decided that the town of Cassino was to be bombed to destroy German defences before the attack began. That was planned to start on the 24th of February, but it was postponed due to bad weather which prevented air operations. On the 7th of March, a period of 7 dry days began. At 8:30 on the morning of the 15th of March, more than 300 bombers attacked Cassino. By noon, a total of 992 tons of explosive had been dropped on the town. According to the official history of the Second World War, on this morning, in roaring explosions and invisible blast, under clouds of black smoke and yellowish dust, the town of Cassino was blown asunder and beaten into heaps of rubble studded with the tottering remains of houses. In the town, the 2nd Battalion of the German 3rd Parachute Regiment suffered heavy casualties, but survivors found shelter in basements and in bunkers. A 2 New Zealand Division deployed 3 brigades for the attack on the town of Cassino. 6th Brigade, comprising 24, 25 and 26 battalions, was north of Cassino. 4 and 5 brigades were to be used to complete the capture of the town and start the breakout into the Liri Valley. 28 Maori Battalion, which had led the 1st New Zealand Division's assault on Cassino, was also ready to join the attack. At 12:30 in the afternoon of the 15th of March, the 25 Battalion with tanks started to attack Cassino and Castle Hill, with 24 Battalion in support. Castle Hill was captured at around 5 o'clock. It was subsequently taken over by the 1st 4th Essex Regiment of the Indian Division's 5th Brigade, which took point 165 around midnight. The first 6 Rajputana rifles were ordered to pass through to points 202 and 236, and 19 Gurkha rifles to take Hangman's Hill, a high point south of the Abbey that had been the terminus of a cable car from Cassino town. The Rajputanas failed to take their objectives, but a company of Gurkhas reached Hangman's Hill, where they stayed for the next 9 days. Progress through the town was slow. Tanks had to operate in ruins, rubble and bomb craters. Concealed German machine gunners and snipers blocked the infantry. The 25 Battalion eventually captured the northern part of Cassino, but was halted as it advanced along Highway 6. Meanwhile, 24 Battalion passed through the captured part of Cassino to link up with 25 Battalion's A Company. 26 Battalion had crossed the Rapido and passed through Cassino in a move down the road leading to the railway station, but was pinned down by machine gun fire. By the night of the 15th of March, only the southwest corner of Cassino was still in German hands. In the heavy rain that night, companies in New Zealand formations in the town lost touch with each other. The Germans, with better knowledge of the area, reorganized their defences. At 6:15 in the morning of the 16th, 2 companies of 25 Battalion, assisted by a platoon of 26 Battalion, launched an attack to capture the road to the Continental Hotel. They were met by heavy machine gun and rifle fire. The battalion advanced to within 100 yards of its objective north of the hotel and captured the convent by early afternoon. They were joined by tanks. The proposed advance by 26th Battalion that day was postponed. Above Castle Hill, the Rajputanas recaptured Point 165, took Point 202, and seized but subsequently lost Point 236. Throughout the day, Allied aircraft carried out attacks on German positions. In the afternoon, 28 Focke-Wulf fighter bombers raided the New Zealand forward areas, including a Bailey Bridge over the Rapido. The plan for the 17th of March called for 25 Battalion to secure its objectives of the previous day. 26 Battalion was to capture the station and surrounding areas. 24 Battalion was to take the Colosseum area, with 19 Armoured Regiment in support. At 6:45 in the morning, 25 Battalion attacked to secure the road running north from the hotel. 26 Battalion and machine guns provided covering fire, while tanks led the advance towards the Botanical Gardens. At midday, following a preparatory barrage, 26 Battalion struck towards the station supported by 19 Armoured Regiment. By mid-afternoon, the station and the hummocks were captured. 24 battalions advanced to clear the hotel area, seize Route 6 to the south, and join up with 26 Battalion was held up by rubble and snipers. One of its companies reached Route 6 just after dark, but found the hotel was still held by the Germans and turned back. Another skirted the west of the town, crossed Route 6, and reached the crossroads north of the station. By the end of the 17th of March, 25 Battalion held the jail, the church near the convent, and the post office. It also held the northern branch of Route 6 to the road junction where it turns southwards towards the hotel and to a score 350 yards to the north. 24 Battalion was still trying to close the gap between 25 and 26 Battalions from the Botanical Gardens towards the station. Castle Hill was held by the Essex Regiment of the 4th Indian Division. The Gurkhas on Hangman's Hill had been reinforced, but were essentially cut off and often had to be supplied by air. By this point, German resistance centred along the lower slopes of Castle Hill and in a triangle with the base extending from the Hôtel des Roses north past the Continental Hotel for 200 yards and with its apex about 200 yards to the north of the hotel. Fresh attacks were launched on the 18th of March. 25 Battalion was to clear the remainder of the town and bring up supplies. 26 Battalion was to secure the amphitheatre. 24 Battalion was to outflank German strongpoints to the west, reach Route 6, and advance towards the Baron's Palace. 28 Maori Battalion was ready to join the battle under command of 6th Brigade. At 1 in the morning, guides led C Company of 24 Battalion around the top of Castle Hill, from where it was to advance southeast to Route 6. 25 Battalion with tanks advanced against a strongpoint at the base of Castle Hill, about 200 yards southwest of the jail. Its first attack from Point 165 was unsuccessful. It was then decided to attack from the east, but this failed when wind cleared the smoke screen and exposed the advancing troops. A third attempt from a ridge running from Castle Hill to the southwest, supported by tank fire, succeeded. 24 Battalion had meanwhile reached close to Point 202. Fire from the Pink House 150 yards north of the Continental Hotel and a strong point southeast of Castle Hill prevented it reaching Route 6. But the company became a valuable link with the Gurkhas on Hangman's Hill 750 feet above and the Rajputanas at Point 202. That night, the Essex Regiment climbed to Hangman's Hill. They were replaced at Castle Hill by the Rajputanas. Around midnight on the 18th of March, 28 Battalion moved to assist 25 Battalion in clearing German outposts from the slopes of Castle Hill as far as the Colosseum. At 3 o'clock in the morning, the attack began with 2 companies of 25 Battalion on the right and 2 companies of 28 Battalion on the left. 25 Battalion made little progress, and when daylight came were halted by machine gun and rifle fire. Supported by tanks and covered by mortar and artillery fire on the slopes of Monastery Hill, the Maoris advanced. But the Germans were firmly established at the Continental Hotel and for 150 yards on either side to the Pink House to the north and the Hôtel des Roses to the south. The Maoris had some success, but the Germans still held their positions by nightfall. At 5:30 that morning, the 1st Battalion of the 4th Parachute Regiment launched an attack to drive the 4th Indian Division off Castle Hill. Intense fighting lasted the whole day, but the garrison held on. In the afternoon, 25 Battalion made a further attempt to overcome German positions at the base of Castle Hill, but the attack failed. Early that night, it made yet another attack on Castle Hill positions. The most dramatic development of the 19th of March was the advance of 47 tracked vehicles from American, Indian and New Zealand formations at 6 o'clock that morning along Cavendish Road to attack the monastery from the rear. By 7:30 in the morning, they had reached the Madras Circus, a small plateau just over a mile from the objective. The tanks advanced further towards the Abbey and surrounded Albanetta Farm, but encountered German Panzer Schreck anti-tank guns and mines. By 5:30 in the evening, 19 Allied tanks had been disabled, and the rest withdrew. An Indian division advanced towards the Abbey the next day was repulsed. On the night of the 19th of March, a 5 Brigade assumed responsibility for all ground in Cassino north of Route 6. 24 Battalion was across the Gari looking towards Route 6 and the Hôtel des Roses. 25 Battalion was partly relieved by 5 Brigade's 23 Battalion, but made 2 further unsuccessful attempts to dislodge Germans at the base of Castle Hill. 26 Battalion was relieved in its position at the railway station by the 5th Buffs of the 78th Division and shifted to the right. On the night of the 20th of March, 5 Brigade's 21 Battalion attacked along Route 6, but was blocked by the Continental Hotel and other stronger points in Cassino. At 6:30 in the morning of the 21st, 23 Battalion attacked from the school, but was forced to withdraw. One of its platoons advanced across the face of Castle Hill, but was also pulled back. Despite evidence that daylight attacks were likely to fail, 23 Battalion was ordered to mount another attack to follow the approach route the platoon had used the previous night. It was again unsuccessful. On the morning of the 22nd of March, a company of 21 Battalion and one of 23 Battalion launched a further attack on German strong points at the base of Castle Hill and in Cassino. It failed. The following day, units of 21, 23 and 25 battalions unsuccessfully attempted to subdue the German garrison in the Hôtel des Roses. On the 23rd of March, General Freyberg consulted all 3 of the New Zealand Corps' divisional commanders and notified General Clark that the attempt to break the German defences wasn't working and had to be called off. The paratroopers in Cassino have frustrated yet another attack on the Gustav Line. 3 days later, the New Zealand Corps was dissolved and the Allies went on to the defensive.